Marcus had one requirement when he decided to adopt a cat: calm, quiet, low maintenance. The shelter coordinator looked at his questionnaire, looked at him, and took him to Kennel 4. Pip had been returned twice. Both times the families said the same thing: too quiet. 4 weeks later, Marcus was keeping a 4-page document trying to decode everything she was trying to tell him. Marcus had one requirement. One, he was 34 years old, worked from home as a software developer, and spent the majority of his day in deep concentration with headphones on and the world muted. He had a carefully maintained routine, a clean apartment, and an almost pathological need for quiet. So when he decided, after 2 years of considering it the way he considered everything, that he was ready for a cat, he had one requirement: calm. He needed a calm cat. The shelter coordinator at Riverside Rescue handed him a questionnaire. Noise tolerance? Low. Energy level preference? Minimal. Interaction need? Independent. He filled it out with the precision of a man who had thought about this for 2 years and handed it back. She looked at it, looked at him, then she took him to Kennel 4. "This is Pip," she said. Pip was a Scottish fold, 8 months old, silver-gray tabby with white patches and eyes so large and round they seemed physically improbable. She was sitting in the back corner of her kennel, completely still, watching Marcus with an expression that gave away absolutely nothing. "She's been here 4 months, the coordinator said, returned twice. Both times the families said the same thing." She paused. "Too quiet." Marcus looked at Pip. Pip looked at Marcus. "That sounds perfect," he said. It was not perfect. It was, in fact, the beginning of something Marcus had not accounted for in any of his 2 years of careful consideration. The first 3 weeks were exactly as advertised. Pip moved through the apartment like a ghost. She ate at precise intervals, used her litter box without incident, and spent most of her time in a small cat bed Marcus had placed near the window. She didn't demand attention. She didn't knock things over. She observed everything with those enormous, unblinking eyes and made no sound whatsoever. Marcus updated his notes. He kept actual notes in a document because he was that kind of person, with one word: perfect. Then week 4 happened. It started with a small sound, a single chirp, barely audible, at 7:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. Marcus looked up from his monitor. Pip was sitting in the doorway of his office, looking at him. He looked back. She chirped again. He had no idea what it meant. He gave her a treat. She ate it, looked at him, and chirped a third time. This, Marcus would later understand, was the moment Pip decided he was trainable. By week 6, the chirping had evolved into a full vocabulary. There was the short double chirp that meant the water bowl needed refreshing. There was the long single note, almost a trill, that meant she had found something interesting and required an audience immediately. There was a sound Marcus could only describe as a question mark, which she deployed exclusively when he had been at his desk for more than 2 hours without acknowledging her existence. And then there was the sound she made when he put on his shoes. It started the first time he left for the grocery store. He was lacing up his sneakers when a noise came from behind him, somewhere between a yowl and an accusation, that made him turn around instinctively, certain something was wrong. Pip was sitting 3 feet away, staring at him with the expression of someone who had just been informed of a deeply personal betrayal. "I'll be back in 20 minutes, Marcus told her. She made the sound again. He came back in 17. His coworkers noticed it first. Marcus was meticulous about his video calls. Background clean, lighting consistent, headphones on. But Pip had developed a precise radar for the moment he unmuted himself, and she treated every unmuted moment as an open invitation. "Is that your cat?" his manager asked during a Thursday stand-up, while Pip delivered what could only be described as a formal complaint directly into the microphone. "She's expressing a concern," Marcus said. "About what?" "I haven't determined that yet."
He started keeping a log, not because he was worried. He wasn't worried, he told himself firmly, but because he was a systematic person, and systematic people documented things. The log ran to 4 pages within 2 weeks. He noted the times, the sounds, the apparent triggers, and his best interpretation of each. Reading it back, he realized something that should have been obvious much earlier. Pip wasn't noisy. Pip was specific. Every sound had a meaning. Every chirp, every trill, every dramatic yowl at the shoe tying, all of it was communication, consistent and deliberate from an animal who had apparently decided that if she was going to live with a human, that human was going to understand her. The 2 families who returned her called her too quiet. They had waited for a cat who would demand things loudly and immediately and in ways they recognized. Pip didn't demand. She informed, patiently, persistently, and with increasing sophistication until the person she'd lived with learned to listen. Marcus had been trained, he realized, thoroughly and completely by a 4-pound Scottish fold who had been written off twice for having nothing to say. Pip is 18 months old now. She still chirps at the water bowl when it needs refreshing, still delivers formal objections at shoe tying, still interrupts video calls with the confidence of someone who has reviewed the agenda and found it lacking. Marcus no longer works with headphones on. He says it's because the apartment is quiet enough without them. His colleagues, who have now met Pip on approximately 40 video calls, have their own theory. The notes document is still open on his desktop. It runs to 11 pages. The most recent entry, added 3 weeks ago, reads 6:47 a.m. Sat on keyboard during deployment. Unclear if intentional. Probably intentional. 2 families returned Pip for being too quiet. 2 families sat across from those enormous gray eyes and heard nothing, and decided nothing was all she had to offer. But she was never quiet. She was just waiting for someone who would slow down long enough to learn a different language. Some cats choose you loudly, with drama and demand and immediate presence. And some cats choose you the way Pip chose Marcus, slowly, methodically, one small sound at a time, until one day you realize the quietest apartment you've ever lived in somehow hasn't been quiet in months, and you wouldn't change a single thing about it. Is your cat more of a silent observer or a non-stop talker? And which one do you think secretly runs your house? Tell me in the comments.